Hello, Lake Wales. Welcome to episode number 19 of The Mayor and the Manager. This is a podcast created by Providence Voice, which is the media ministry of High Point Church, and we created it for the citizens of Lake Wales to make sure that you become well acquainted with the people that you elect and pay to serve you here in the city, and also to keep you aware of important developments in the life of Lake Wales. And I'm joined again here with our city manager, James Slayton. James, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Mayor.
And today we're going to talk about an issue that comes up all of the time. I can't say every meeting, but I'm going to say at least 70% of the meetings that I have been a part of as the mayor of Lake Wales, in some way, water and water usage has been discussed. So we just got a question. We don't get a ton of questions, but we do get them here. And someone asked if we could take the time to talk about water usage and the Polk Water Cooperative and where's Lake Wales in that process. So that's what we're going to do in this meetings. And it's this podcast, I should say. And it's no wonder that comes up. It's no wonder that it's on everyone's mind because the county is growing so fast. So many new homes being built. And then we just went through another very dry season where we were in drought for a while. So we're at a deficit and it's on everyone's mind. And then everyone sees the water lines being slapped down. I just drove down Masterpiece Road the other day and saw them, and down Mammoth Grove Road and see them. So a couple of things we want to do in this podcast, this episode, is make sure that we bring you folks up to date on exactly where the city of Lake Wales is when it comes to the water situation. And then we'll talk more broadly about the situation for Polk County. So let's start with Lake Wales. And to grasp this, James, I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things. First of all, Swift mud. Now, anybody that's in construction or has built anything knows what Swift mud is, but maybe the average citizen doesn't. So talk to us about what Swift mud is. Talk to us about pumping permits and capacity and how those work in the county, and then about where Lake Wales is on that, in that whole deal. Okay?
Okay, that's a lot.
It's a lot. I'm trying to fill up 30 minutes here.
Okay. We can do that easily. Southwest Florida Water Management District.
That's Swift mud.
That's a state agency that really writes the rules and regulates the water supply.
They're the water mafia
permits. They're
in
the
Polk
water
County.
mafia. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's interesting, though.
Mm-hmm.
There are a handful, 4 or 5 water management districts in the Florida.
Okay.
But their geopolitical boundaries are kind of arbitrarily drawn.
Okay.
So what's interesting, I've always thought that they've got different sets of rules.
For each water management district.
Water management district.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But there's one Upper Floridan aquifer that covers the entire state of Florida and part of South Georgia, but you've got different sets of rules for each one. I just always thought that was interesting. So we're doing things here in Southwest Florida Water Management District that maybe they're not doing in the South Florida Water Management District, and they're just like invisible city limits. They're invisible geopolitical boundaries between the water management districts.
But it's a state agency.
Yes,
but there's no uniform code of rules there.
That's
wow.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just thought I would point that out.
Yeah. Well, there's something you can write your congressman about. We'll make their life more interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, so Swift mud, that's what it is. Yeah. It's a water management district that I affectionately call them the water mafia, although I think some people resonate with that. But they pretty much tell us what the rules are.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, so then you were asking about, the permitted, the permitted capacity, and they're the ones that provide the permits, quite honestly, the water use permits that we have. So we have permits that set maximums on the amount of water, us municipalities, that we can, or anyone, quite honestly, the amount of water that they can draw from the Upper Floridan aquifer.
Yeah.
Or any aquifer for that matter, even if we're talking about the Lower Floridan. So, each city has a water use permit, and we have one. Right now, it expires in 10 years, so we may be looking at a permit modification. And so we're allowed to pump about 3.9 million gallons of water a day.
Okay.
From the Upper Floridan, and we're pumping around 2.9 to 3 million right now.
Okay.
So we're still somewhere. Think about that. Lake Wales has been around 100 years, and so we're pumping about 2.9, we'll say, or 3 million gallons a day.
Mm-hmm.
So we've still got, a third of our capacity available. Now it's getting chipped away at. There are homes being built, but not the degree that I think the news media would have people to believe. There just hasn't been that many. I think you and I've discussed this in one of the meetings, one of these podcasts. Over the last 6 years, we've maybe had 1,200 or so.
Right.
So we still have room for a few thousand homes to actually be constructed. But yeah, that's the permitted capacity. It sets a upper ceiling on how much water we can withdraw from the aquifer. Now, doesn't mean, and we don't intend to do this, though there are multiple cities around the county that are exceeding their permitted capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't mean that the water is going to get shut off and the well's going dry and it's like turning off a spigot. We talk about water, we're talking about permitted capacity.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that. First of all, to recap, Lake Wales has a pumping permit for 3.9 per day, million per day. Mm-hmm. And we're using about 65 to 70% of that now. So
that's right.
And we're, we do see new homes coming up, and there's going to be there's a couple of significant developments that finally, after years of work, is beginning on around here. So, that's something that will become a little tighter, but for the foreseeable future, we're in pretty good shape. Mm-hmm. But you did say that, it's not like if a city exceeds its pumping permit, they just shut the water off. So
Correct.
Let's talk about that. What happens if a city begins to exceed its pumping permit? Because we do have a few cities that have faced that here in Polk County.
Yeah, I think we haven't faced it here. I think they could be fined, but the Water Management District is not finding people right now.
Okay.
Particularly if they're members of the Polk Regional Water Cooperative, because they know that ultimately we'll be looking for alternative water supply sources. So they've been pretty lenient, and quite honestly, they should be. I've been working closely, or my staff has, over the last 6 years, and they kind of keep changing their rules.
Okay.
I know it sounds crazy, but we get different answers over the last 6 years, depending on which way the wind's blowing with the Water Management District. So, and I don't know, I don't mean any insult to anyone, but I think it's just an evolving situation.
Yeah.
That kind of changes from time to time. So, but we work closely with the Water Management District, and it's it has been difficult. But they've been understanding with the municipalities here in the county.
Okay, so again, like I said, we were talking about water the first time that I came on as an appointed commissioner. We've been talking about water through 2 election cycles. And the city of Lake Wales has tried a lot of things to be proactive. Is it possible for a city to increase its pumping capacity?
Well, probably not now.
Okay.
At least not from the upper Floridan aquifer. So if that's the question.
Yeah.
The question is from the upper Floridan, not likely.
Okay.
So because of Central Florida Water Initiative, CFWI rule, they're putting hard caps on water use permits. And if anyone needs additional capacity, they're really trying to push them to get that from the lower Floridan aquifer, which will also be permitted. It'll just be permitted from a different aquifer.
Okay, so we'll get to that in just a second. But for instance, in the last year, we purchased the Waverly water treatment facility. Mm-hmm. What does that do for the city of Lake Wales? Because the assumption may be that we purchase a new water treatment plant and now we can pump more water.
Right. Well, and we believe that to be the case. So we're working through that process with the Water Management District right now.
Okay.
So there are a couple of things, several benefits to purchasing the Waverly utility system. One of which is the permitted capacity. So that's permitted for about an additional 400,000 gallons a day.
Okay.
So ultimately, we want that 400,000 added to our 3.9.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working with the Water Management District now to do just that. Mm-hmm. It's a complicated process. Mm-hmm. It's currently Polk County's.
Right.
And so we've got to get that capacity transfer us. But ideally, that will be added to our current water use permit. Another, massive benefit is that it's a functioning water plant.
Right.
We've long had, and you maybe have experienced this personally, Mayor, I'm not sure, but there are lower water issues in the north end of
on the north side,
north side of Lake Wales.
Yeah.
So we've had plans for quite a while to construct a new elevated water storage tank on the north end of the city, which will increase the pressure. We will not have to do that. So taking the potential water use permit increase, just removing that from the equation, we still get to, we'll build an interconnect, connect that to the rest of our system, increase the water pressure north end of the city pretty quickly for a lot less money than what it would have cost us to build the elevated water tower to begin with. So it was a pretty good strategic move on our part.
Even if we don't get the increased capacity.
Even if we don't get the increased capacity.
Yeah.
Correct.
So let's talk about, and I ask these questions because I think these are the questions that I know they would come into my mind when I was just out there living in the city of Lake Wales.
Yes,
what about when we buy land from a grove owner, or not when we buy land, but when land is developed by a grove owner, it's annexed into the city, and what about land use transfers on their pumps?
Now you're talking. So that is one of the tools we have that we've been working on. Again, it's kind of been a roller coaster with the water management district.
Right.
Just being honest here, but when we started out, so let me say we are absolutely members. I think people think we're not members of the Polk Regional Water Cooperative.
Right.
We absolutely are members of the cooperative. We're just not participating in the nearly $1 billion Southeast Wellfield project just yet. And the reason we held off on that is because we did not need that water. We would already have to be paying our share of the loans of the for the construction, infrastructure, everything on that project all these years. Before we needed the water.
Right.
So I think we all thought it was in our citizens' best interest to not pay. And it's going to be 5 times probably
expensive
to process that lower Floridan water.
Yeah.
So we might as well do everything that we can, number one, to avoid it. And if we can't totally avoid it, let's at least prolong it before we do that. I think to our customers. And I think that's been the city's approach. And, some folks have been critical of that, but I hope they've enjoyed not paying 5 times their water bill over the last 6 years or longer. So we are members of the Regional Water Cooperative. We're not involved. We're not participants on the Southeast Wellfield project. So one of the things we did, we took about 2020, 2021, we took a step back from the Southeast Wellfield $1 billion project and said, okay, can we do this on our own? Do we need to partner with everyone to do this? Which I think is a legitimate question.
Sure.
So, one of the first things that we did was we hired an engineering firm, hydrologist, and we thought, okay, if the Polk County can drill a deep well into the lower Floridan, maybe we can too, and avoid all this altogether. And then we did some studies and testing, and unfortunately, we couldn't find the water in the lower Floridan. But that was the first thing that we did.
That was a involved process.
That was an involved process. That took a couple of years. So we tried that first, and then one of the other tools we have. First of all, let me say we did a study. Our consultants did a study of all the water in our entire utility service area. So our utility service area is about 55,000 acres. That is a invisible boundary. But it's much larger than the city limits. And in that entire service area, the city's municipal permit only accounted for 11%. Think about that. 11% of that water usage. What people don't realize is, the rest of that, 89% is growth mostly, and a handful of private businesses that withdraw a lot of water. Florida's Natural and some of the others. So you just think about the impacts that we have on the water supply in our utility service area. We're probably the smallest. That's just a fact that I think people don't realize. And an acre of orange groves, you got to irrigate those. And I'm going to answer your question.
Sure.
I'm sorry, I'm giving a lot of detail. about an acre of orange groves uses about the same water as an acre of houses.
Yeah.
People don't realize that either. You got to irrigate them. It takes a lot of water. They have their own wells.
Right.
So there's a program, state program, and this is one of the tools we have in our toolkit that we've been working toward with the water management district is we can get those wells that irrigate those orange groves are also permitted with the water management district. And so it's called a land use transfer or transition. Transition from agricultural use to some other use like residential. And then we get a percentage of that permitted capacity.
Okay.
Ideally added to our permit.
Yeah.
We've been collecting those for the last 5 years and working again with the water management district to get that done. But so is just about every other city in Polk County. And what I do know is that it's taking a long time to actually get this accomplished. But that is also something we're pursuing. And then something else, I don't know if, going back, people probably don't think about or realize this, but, we're Water Star compliant. You remember that?
Yeah.
And so we did this. This is probably going back to 2021 or 2022.
Yeah, I think we spoke about that briefly in one of our early episodes.
Yeah. So every new home that's built in Lake Wales is required to have Water Star compliant appliances and irrigation so that they actually use less water. And that helps the permitted water that we have last even longer. And so those are some of the things that we're doing. We know that we're ultimately, it's common sense. Everyone knows it, with the new growth and with the growth we're experiencing, it's going to, comes an increase in water demand. We're not avoiding that.
Right.
And so, there may be a time and place that we have to join the Southeast Wellfield project. We understand that too. We've talked to the Polk Regional Water Cooperative about that, which, by the way, is its own entity.
Yes.
It was formed by the county and all the municipalities here in the county, but now it's operating as its own entity. They know that we're going to be coming at some point and looking for water out of the lower Florida aquifer. For which the Southeast Wellfield project, that's exactly what they're doing. That's why that project exists. So they know, and there's an on-ramp. So we can join later. It's not that we've been irresponsible. I think I've heard people say, including some commission candidates, that, we should have joined. And we still can. We made sure of that. There's an on-ramp for us to join the cooperative. But why would we join it and pay for that water, our customers pay for that water when we don't need it?
Yes.
And so right now we're looking at, our projections, and they're pretty conservative. We're thinking about 2032 or so is about the time, unless something changes, that, we may actually need to join the water cooperative, or we may need that water from the lower Florida. But there are some other things in the work that, that we may be able to do if we need the water ahead of time.
Okay.
But the reality is I just don't think we're going to.
Yeah. So right now, to kind of summarize, because that's a lot of information, is Lake Wales has, right now, as things stand, using about 65 to 70% of what we are allowed to use from the upper Floridian, according to our SWFWMD permits. And we have been working hard to see if we can't increase what we can use. We tried to do our own well. That didn't pan out well for us. I still think it was a great investment, a great thing for us to try. We've purchased the Waverly plant that has some possibilities, and we are looking at land use transitions with a lot of the grove land that's being developed around here. That's a possibility. Nothing's happened. There's no guarantees, but we're doing everything we can to try and push further down the road the day when we will have to jump into full-blown participation with the Polk Water Cooperative. Now, you've already explained that the Polk Regional Water Cooperative, another proactive step taken by Polk leadership because they are kind of foreseeing with the growth that we're going to need that alternative water supply. Now, we are not jumping in because that water is going to be a lot more expensive. So you've got the Polk Upper Floridian, not the Polk, the Upper Floridian Aquifer, which is one of the largest sources of clean, fresh drinking water anywhere. Once you get down below that, though, the lower aquifer is a whole different animal, isn't it? It's brackish water. It is. Has to be desalinated.
A lot of minerals, sediment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what's behind this gargantuan well that has been planted out here in the southwest part of our county. Is it southwest out by Tiger Lake?
Southeast.
Southeast.
Part of the county. Yes, sir.
Thank you. So talk to us about, you said the number 5 times what they pay, what we're going to have to pay. I think I heard you say that. So talk to us about why it's going to cost so much more.
Well, part of it is processing. This upper Florida aquifer is pretty clean water. I mean, really, we pump out of the ground, maybe a little bit chlorine, maybe, and then
it doesn't cost much at all. It's pennies per 1,000 gallons.
Yes. Yeah. So you're talking about number one, kind of a desalinization type plant.
Yeah.
Much more complicated, much more expensive to just operate. And then once they remove all of the I don't know what the industry term is, but we'll just say the minerals and other things that are in that water. You got to do something with it. So then you have to have an injection process, a really, really, really deep well to inject the I don't know if byproduct is the word, but the sludge, the waste that's created. And so from an operational standpoint, it's more expensive, but from a construction standpoint, it's way more expensive. Yeah. So you're going to have, though there are some grants that the Water Management District have gotten, there's loans too. Yeah. And I don't know what the numbers at. I'll tell you, that's a part of the reason too. We kind of held off here in Lake Wales because everything was developing.
Yeah.
The costs kept changing. The plan kept changing. And I don't know where the cost is right now, but I think it's, last I heard, over $750 million.
Yeah. And I'm hearing it's going to come in around $1 billion by
the time it's done. And so somebody's got to pay for that. So you got the increased operating costs, plus debt service with constructing the thing. And then, so that somebody's got to pay for that. And so it gets passed along to the customers. The Water Management District, once it's up and running, whoever's a member, they make you take that water first. So there's no, kind of pay as you go.
Yeah.
You pay for your allocation. You tell them on the front end, what you think you need or what you need. So that's another thing. We'd have had to commit to a number. Prior to now, we'd have had to just pick a number, arbitrary. Well, we think we'll need 500,000. Well, guess what? We'd have been paying our share on that 500,000 gallons a day over the last however many years. Water we still won't need for a good while.
Yeah.
So I think really we being the city, city commission, city administration, I think we've really just been looking out for our customers and trying to make the most sensible decisions as it relates to their water and their costs and the way it's going to impact their lives. I mean, we already right now today, every month, we have 500 to 600 water cutoffs for non-payment. Every month, we got to go out, cut them off, and then usually that goes on for a long time. It takes a while to cut that many customers off, and then we got to go back and turn them back on when they do pay. But we already have people that are struggling to pay their water bills here in Lake Wales, right? So all this ties together. Economic development, all ties together. But we've put this off as long as we can,
and it was the right thing to do.
As long. I think so as well.
You're right. We heard not a lot. I think most people understand this. But we did hear some mild criticism about we should have jumped in on this. But it just wouldn't have been a wise move at all.
I don't think so.
Wouldn't have been good for the citizens of Lake Wales.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I guess that probably the shorthand version of this is it's understandable when a city's growing, when a county's growing, for everyone to get worked up about this, to be not worked up, but to be concerned about this. And, so I felt like it would be good for us to dedicate an episode to it. It came up again here recently, and I just felt like let's address this and try and help people in Lake Wales understand that we're actually in pretty good shape around here.
We are. We're doing all we can, I think. To try to stay on top of it and to get ahead of it. But we're still in good shape. And then let me mention one more thing.
Okay.
The Water Management District has even looked at rolling back permitted capacity. So they've looked at historical usage when they set limits on the.
Yeah.
Well, there hasn't been anything going on here in Lake Wales for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Yeah.
Because we haven't, they're looking at rolling back or looked at rolling back our permits below what we have already today.
Wow.
I think it ended up that they're not going to roll it back, but I think they're going to hold it, keep it at where it is today.
Okay.
On the upper Florida. So yeah, it's very much a evolving situation, and has been. Everyone is gaining more information through experience over time. And when I say everyone, I'm talking about the other municipalities, the water and even the water management district and their staff. So we're all coordinating and, working together to try to make the best decisions that we absolutely can.
Okay, fantastic. Well, folks, I hope that was helpful. I hope that information is helpful. You are always welcome. In fact, I would ask you to email your questions to us. We will try and address them as they come in. If you listen to episode 18, you heard me talk about some exciting developments that happened over the summer when we were not recording, with the expansion of our police department into a new annex, with the building of some new fire departments, or the expansion of current fire departments. With the parking study, we're going to give an episode to talking about parking situations, because that's another thing that comes up in Lake Wales. With the new developments of the Peterson-Meyer building right around the Wales Built. And as Wales Built, that's a dynamic, exciting situation that's going on. And also here in the last months, a few new businesses are moving into downtown Lake Wales. Yes. So in future episodes, if you keep listening to the mayor and the manager, we will give time to talking to all of those issues. And we're certainly willing to talk about anything else that's on your mind. And I think that's good enough for today. James, thank you for your time and for your explanations.
You got it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Mayor and the Manager. The goal of this podcast is to keep you up to date on all that is happening in the great city of Lake Wales. To that end, we would love to take questions from you and take the time to answer them. So if you have any questions, just click on Submit a Question in the description above this podcast.